I'm Elana Horwich of Meal and Spiel, and today I'm going to teach you how to make an herb-crusted rack of lamb. Rack of lamb is one of those dishes that people just think is really fancy and really complicated. That's what I thought for years. I thought only fancy French chefs make it. It's not true. It's actually very easy, very straightforward, and very approachable, especially the way that I'm going to show you how to do it. It will be juicy, it will be tender, it will be delicious. It's made without breadcrumbs, it's healthy, it's paleo, it's gluten-free, it's all of those things. Not that it needs to be, it's really simply just delicious. So let's go into the kitchen and I'm going to share all of my secrets with you. The first thing that we're going to do is to season our rack of lamb. And what that involves is covering it with salt and herbs. This salt, and we're using kosher salt, is a very important component. For each rack of lamb, we're going to use a tablespoon of salt. Don't skimp on this because the salt is not only there for flavor, it's there to tenderize your lamb. I had a friend, I gave her my recipe, she made it, she decided to use less salt. Guess whose lamb wasn't juicy on my birthday, okay? So you gotta use a tablespoon of salt. A tablespoon of thyme, about a teaspoon of sage, a teaspoon of coriander, and a little bit of cumin. You rub it all around with love. Okay, you gotta love it. And honestly, I've had cooking students do it in class and they're like, I'm done. Hello, there's the entire other part of the rack of lamb. So you gotta go everywhere, get it everywhere. Now what are we gonna do? We need to let it sit for at least an hour. So it doesn't go in the fridge, it stays on the counter because when you cook your rack of lamb, it has to start at room temperature. Otherwise, it's gonna burn on the outside and be raw on the inside. So let this sit, and I'll see you in a few. Now I'm gonna brown it on all sides. That means this entire front, the back, this is the part that will touch the pan, and also the top. My pan is hot. I let it get hot for about 5 minutes. Let's start with olive oil, just enough to coat the pan. Do our first side. It's gonna be about 2 to 3 minutes a side. What the browning does is actually creates flavor in the meat. So before we put it in the oven, we wanna brown it on all sides. That's a typical thing of doing with making meat. I'm gonna let it rest for a few minutes before I put it in the oven at 400 for 12 minutes. So now we just need to cut our rack of lamb. So you're gonna carefully go between each bone. Perfect medium rare. Lamb is supposed to be eaten medium rare. Oh my God. It's so juicy. So listen, guys, you can do this. Rack of lamb is not that hard. Season it, let it sit. Brown it, let it sit for a little bit. Bake it, let it sit for a little longer. Cut it and eat it.